More trouble is looming in the camp of the Muslim Brotherhood, as President Donald Trump has declared the Muslim Brotherhood in America and even in the whole world as a terrorist organization. This is coming 4 days after when Gregory Abbott declared the Muslim Brotherhood in Texas as a terrorist organization. What was the reason why he declared as a terrorist organization? Is because they were planning to implement Sharia law in Texas. Not only Texas, but in the whole America. But Texas is the one because less than 24 months, they were able to open 48 mosques. And apart from opening the 48 mosques, they are imposing their Sharia law of their country, of Iran, Iraq, on the citizens, on the people, on their own people, even affecting the citizens of America. They are imposing Sharia law on them. They should not eat pig. They should not drink wine. They should not do what they have to do in another man's land. That is number 2. The spread of the way they are opening mosques. And they even want to, you remember the other time I did a video of Texas where they bought a big piece of land. That big piece of land, they said they are going to buy it. They are going to build mosque. They are going to build school. They are going to build a market. They are going to build it for their own, Muslim people for their own. That if you are not a Muslim, you are not allowed to rent a house in that very estate. So it now looked like a threat to America. Then that was why Gregory Abbott now said, no, this land can never be sold to you people. And that plan that you want to plan to come and open a mosque inside, a house is inside, it's like an estate, but only the person that is a Muslim can be able to rent a house, a flat inside that very estate that make the governor of Texas to say that, no, it is not possible, this will not be allowed. Then he cancel it and say, it's never going to be allowed. Now the worst has happened. They have been banned from buying any property in America. Then, days after when Gregory Abbott has made that announcement, the people, the Muslim Brotherhood in America now say they want to sue Gregory Abbott that it is not constitutional. Just imagine, they want to use the constitution to deal with the citizens of America. That was when Donald Trump now came out yesterday and said it very, very clear that the Muslim Brotherhood in America is a terrorist organization and they have to stop. It's not going to happen. That is going to designate them as a terrorist organization, that they are threats to the citizens of America. They are also criminal. They are terrorists. And they are also trying to lure their children of America into their bad habits. Imagine, the first people that said this Muslim brotherhood was Egypt. But now, later Egypt also branded them. Egypt and Jordan have banned Muslims brotherhood already. Then Saudi Arabia, the United Arab Emirates, and Boreo have recognized them as a terrorist organization. What the whole world has recognized as a terrorist organization, their own people are recognizing them as a terrorist organization. They want to carry it to another man country and continue to implement their useless Sharia law on the citizens of America. Now, Donald Trump said, it will not happen in this country. Not when I'm the president of the United States of America. Muslim Brotherhood is a designation of a terrorist organization, and so shall it be. Before we continue, let's listen to this news.
A new report indicates President Trump's plan to classify this global network as a foreign terrorist organization. The president told Just the News, quote right here, "It will be done in the strongest and most powerful terms. Final documents are being drawn." This comes days after Texas Governor Greg Abbott designated the Muslim Brotherhood and CARE, that's the Council on American Islamic Relations, as foreign terrorist organizations and transnational criminal organizations, which prevents them from buying land in Texas.
Yes.
So a new report detailing one Islamic group's decades-long reach into the U.S. The report claims the Muslim Brotherhood shares ideological goals with Muslim extremist organizations and aims to influence and infiltrate U.S. government, educational systems, civil rights groups. Dr. Kanta Ahmed is a senior fellow at the Independent Women's Forum and a member of the Council of Foreign Relations, and joins us now. Knows, I would say, as much about the Middle East as anyone in America today. Doctor, your thoughts about the role of the Muslim Brotherhood and what they're up to here?
Well, this is something we've been recommending. Over 10 years ago, I wrote an article to say that the Muslim Brotherhood should be designated a foreign terror organization. This report by the Institute Studying Global Anti-Semitism and Policy shows the Muslim Brotherhood is influencing at the executive branch, it's influencing policymakers, it's reframing the argument. Post 9/11, there was Islamophobia, then came boycott, divestment, sanctions, demonizing Israel, and now we've just seen the pro-Hamas protests. That is all part of their multi-generational project to have a war against the secular and undermine our democracy using our democratic freedoms.
And one way that the protests on college campuses, and we see what's happening with our educational institutions, CARE, it's an acronym. What should we know about that organization?
Council on American Islamic Relations. This is part of the other organization Senator Ted Cruz and Governor Abbott in Texas are designating as criminal transnational networks. It portrays itself to be advocating for Muslims like me, but actually it's advancing an Islamist project. What CARE did in California that's under investigation, they took money purportedly for Afghan refugees, helped less than 200, took half of that $7 million and put it back in their own organization.
You see that? Very useless people. Very useless people. They are not allowed in their own, where they are coming from. They are not allowed to operate that Muslim brotherhood. They don't want to come Western world. Where they not be their country. They don't want to come America. Because they implement Sharia law. They say they want Sharia law. And that Sharia law is not there for Saudi Arabia. It's not there for United Arab Emirates. It's not there for others. It's not there for Egypt. Egypt don't drive them. Don't drive them. Brotherhood, drive brotherhood. Saudi Arabia, drive brotherhood. United Arab Emirates, drive brotherhood. They drive them. They tag their services organization. All the refuge when they drive from Muslim land, all of them go for Western. They pack all of the countryside. They are the same people disturbing us in Nigeria. Muslim brotherhood, all in the name of Muslim brotherhood, to my foot. Useless people. Now Donald Trump is coming after you. I told him, I say, Donald Trump is going to wipe these people, drag them all the way from America. And I think I was joking. Donald Trump, he never want to start with them. Just want to start with South America first. Then nobody has ever been there by us. When you go come for them, all of them will go back to their country. Now, what's going to happen between now and 2 years? Now, we'll see rubbish of all these terrorists, all this. Do you know that all those rally, all those demonstrations, all those protests, it was carried out by them with all impunity, no respect for the country that took them in where they came for asylum seeking. Now they want to talk about the country and make it their own property as if they own it. Good for them. Donald Trump, put pepper for their nyash, put ataro